A new nationwide poll has sobering numbers about civics and history education. It found that nearly half of Americans and 61% of Gen Z do not know what makes July 4th America's birthday, the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. Now, despite that, a majority do say they're proud to be American. 61% agree that this is the land of opportunity, encouraging. 74% believe in the American dream, and 70% say our nation's founding principles are still relevant. But while the general population is evenly split on capitalism versus socialism, more of Gen Z say they favor socialism. Hopefully we can reverse that. Look, Lisa, one thing that I'm encouraged by is when I look at the age of some of our founders at the signing of the Declaration of Independence, James Monroe was 18, Alexander Hamilton's 21, James Madison was 25, Thomas Jefferson 33. So you can be young and, hey, found America.
Young and not dumb, right? So we love that. Also, maybe gives us hope for future generations. Hopefully we get some more young patriots like that stepping up for political office here in this country. Look, I will take a little bit of ignorance as long as they're still patriotic. What's dangerous is some of the things we've seen over the years with things like the 1619 Project and this critical race theory, this idea of placing 1619 at the center of the American story instead of 1776, because the whole point of it is to teach young people to believe that America was rooted in oppression, division, racism, that we are an irredeemable country, and not the things that bring us together, like equality and liberty and these God-given freedoms that we've been given, not government-given. And so I think that's in part of why, you know, we talked last segment about some of these socialists, these communists that are rising up on the left. Part of it is some people coming here from third world countries who have been taught to hate America, but then also a lot of these wealthy young people who have been taught in schools to hate America, right? And then that should be troubling to everyone. So, you know, I guess if they're going to be ignorant, at least love America. So we'll take you.
Yeah, Emily, I think we really need to make an effort to teach the next generation. You know, I tried to make today special. My kids don't ever eat donuts for breakfast. They had their first donut for breakfast today because it said America 250. I have special America 250 kids drinks for them planned, adult beverages aside. And then tonight they're going to do sparklers for the first time because I want to sear into their memory today and what it means with special little things so that they remember and they're not part of the socialism crowd.
That's right. Your influence is the strongest thing you can ever do for your children. And if they are not being influenced in the home, they are being influenced elsewhere. Present yourself as the expert on all things or find the answers together, because otherwise they will seek other experts. And right now, the algorithms and the intention, whether it's sort of, I would say, purposeful from our enemies or just misguided and very sort of myopic by the social media companies that are from Silicon Valley, they want your kids' attention, they want their clicks, and they want them to be within whatever sphere they are sort of like, casting. So you have to show them in your home where their guiding light is. You teach them about patriotism. You teach them about faith. You teach them about grounding. And so they know who they are, so they can then be impervious to all of these types of influence that otherwise are so rife. That's why those percentages are low. And then it infiltrates. We've seen that. Homeowners associations where you're not allowed to fly the U.S. flag. No, it should be mandatory that every house flies it. We've talked about what my parents shared with me. Obviously, a love of country, patriotism, U.S. veterans. I knew my story. And in 1976, when my sister was born, my mom called her my bicentennial baby always. Aww. And that was part of her story of identity, was also America throughout the house. So yes, we knew it was special and we knew why. And the whole point is that when you are influenced by your parents and in the home and in the church and the community that you have built for your children, then it doesn't matter what this other stuff is happening. But I agree with you. I think we can take it back, but it takes concerted effort of all of us.
It's so important what you said, because there are foreign powers seeking to influence our kids. China with the Confucius Institutes, many of which have been shut down. I mean, you have to educate your children.
You know what's interesting is, on Emily's point here, you know, we have done these studies and done these reports on these underserved areas, and you talk about kids and Gen Z, and you talk about these school kids, and the most dangerous hours of the day for these underserved areas are between 2:30 and 5:30, because 2:30 is when school gets out and 5:30 is when mom and dad or mom gets home, right? And those are the times when the most influential things happen in their lives. They're hanging out with the wrong people. They should be in athletics. They should be involved in some kind of church program and studying and something. And that's what's happening, is they're trying to shepherd these kids into areas that they can actually benefit from. And it goes to the whole idea where when you're influenced so much by social media, and that's really a big thing for Gen Z, when you're influenced so much by social media and you're not getting any history lessons in school because they're almost afraid to teach history now because history, according to a lot of these liberal education systems, is divisive. So they don't teach it at all. So when these kids, when you look at 66% of Gen Z that doesn't know what America 250 is, that is a statement on this country that needs to be rectified.
It's wild. And Aisha, when you look at the demographics behind the socialist insurgency, it's highly educated, so-called highly educated white people.
It's so crazy, isn't it? It's so crazy. It's like 80% or something of the membership is very highly educated white people. I think it's so interesting, first of all, to the part of kids not being educated enough. As a kid, I had to teach my mom to pass the citizenship exam, so maybe we should do a trivia afterwards. I think I'm pretty good at it. I was really tough when I was a kid. It was a really hard exam. But I will tell you that I do think it starts at the home, Emily. You're absolutely right. Obviously, there's our education system needs some work, but it does start at the home. I grew up, I thought everybody grew up the way that I grew up. So I came as a 6-year-old. I knew zero English. I knew such little English that I would leave my first grade classroom and go find my brother's classroom and sit with him all day because I was so scared of all the other kids speaking English. My dad's first job was flipping burgers at a Jack in the Box because he needed a job to get an apartment, put a roof over our heads. He sold men's clothing at the men's department at JCPenney's, and he worked his way up to General Motors. And look at where I am now. My brother is an ER doctor. My sister is a psychologist at the Cleveland Clinic. Look at where we are now in just one generation. That is what it means to be an American. It's a land of opportunity. It's a land where anything is possible. And that is what we should be teaching our kids in the next generation, is that you can truly become anyone in one generation. I mean, I truly can't believe, you know, what has happened to me. And I know my family watches and sees all the crazy things that I do and all the places I go around the world. How could that have happened to somebody, a little immigrant girl that came over and speaking a lick of English, you know, to where I am now? If that is possible, that's possible for any kid out there.
Can I quickly say, that's the American dream. And what I heard you say is that your family came here and wanted to be a part of the American story. We wanted to be a part of the American dream, wanted to be part of the success, and that's what we need.
Heard victimhood. Victimhood was never, and there is a lot of trauma in my family's past. My grandparents were refugees, lost everything when partition happened, but never once did I hear my grandparents or my mother and father talk about being a victim. Not once, and I think that's the difference.
Yeah, it's Vice President J.D. Vance, too, right? He comes from poverty and the Rust Belt, raised by a grandmother,
next door.
didn't make excuses. There you go. Yeah, and now he's the Vice President of the United States. It's amazing. Amazing achievement.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.